What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the U.S.S. Voyager tutorial Season 1 Episode 12. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Today we've got about a 13-minute episode. We're going to be picking up where we left off in the lower hull, adding in a couple more layers, and then I believe we're going to hop over to the saucer section and do some more layering up there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now you can see that I've already completed the steps that I said to do in the last episode, bringing out our blocks to that next cut line here and stopping. So this way you have that same layering point. So if you haven't done that, you need to do that now. Now you can see I need to actually stretch that out by one row, because if you see what I'm doing here, I'm trying to make my cut lines match up as much as I can everywhere I can. Now there's going to be exceptions to this. There's going to be times where you just can't get everything to match up. It's okay if that happens. You know, it's not a big deal. It's not a huge deal if mistakes happen. We can fix them. It's just trying to get this to match up as much as we can wherever possible. This is at least the way that I like to build, because going with the cut line with my patterns, it helps me to identify sometimes things that I need to do. This is where I said that the process was going to start to come into play, matching up the left side and the right side, because you can see that I'm making sure that both my cut lines match up on the left and right as we're adding in layers to our bottom of our belly. So just to go back here, what we're going to do is now we're going to continue on that same process. We're going to add in another layer, going one with the cut, going all the way around this bottom part. Alright, so now I've skipped ahead to after where we've completed that, and you can see I need to add in one more row, because my left side and right side are not matching up. See, I told you guys that we were going to fix this, and this is how we do it. So I actually feel pretty good, because you gotta understand, it's been a minute since I built this out. I don't remember every step off the top of my head. If I remember correctly, the person that caught that error, I told them that we were going off of the right side template, if I wasn't mistaken, and that turned out to be true. So I'm usually pretty good about that. I'll usually remember, for the most part, my steps that I have to, what steps I've gone through, and I'll try to guide you guys through it. But this is why, again, I say that just kind of hang with me, because we come back and we address this stuff as we're going. It just sucks because, you know, in a perfect world, I wish I can just, you know, put this up and show everything, so this way you guys would be able to get a better understanding of it. Well, not a better understanding of it, but you'd be able to have the full access to it. But it just takes time to build this stuff out, and only having so much time in every episode, you know. So alright, so now that we've got our next cut line, you can see I adjusted my length to go with the cut on the sides, and now we're going to be adding in, we're going to be filling in this layer, going up with the cut. We've been doing this for several rows, so you guys should not have any issues with that at all. You can see both sides matched. I didn't have to make any revisions on that row, so we're looking pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, that last layer we're going to make a change to it. And see, now I'm going over and I'm counting out, double checking to make sure the left and right side match where we currently are. You see I'm counting out my rows to double check. The right side is my main template that I'm going off of. So if your left side isn't matching up and you made the same error that I did when we were building out our outline, that's okay, because we're going to fix that as we're adding in these layers. So you can see I've done enough for 2 rows. So you want to fill that in. And then once you've completed that, then we're going to come back to the saucer. Like I was saying in the other episodes, I've been trying to, when I'm building these out, doing it in a way where once I start something, I finish it. But it's turned into being a challenge to do it that way with Voyager, because there's just so many things that I have to make blend into each other, being the saucer, the neck, and the lower hull. So it's ended up happening on this tutorial. I'm having to kind of jump in between those 3 areas and building each section out little by little, going back, checking my reference material, and then either making changes to what I just added or continuing on if I'm happy enough with what I have. So now that we've got this row that we just added, now we're going to add in the half slabs, and we're going to do this just going all the way around directly on top of the row that we just added. This template worked out pretty good for Voyager, and whenever I do build the Enterprise E, it's really, I think it's going to help in fleshing that ship out, because the shape of it, it's pretty close to how a Sovereign should be. Now if you look at it from a top-down view, yeah, Voyager is more of an eggshell and the Sovereign class is an oval, but the layering process is what I'm talking about here, that it's going to be more or less the same process in order to do it. This is why I say that sometimes you can take, well, not sometimes, pretty much all the time, you can take your things that you've learned and the templates that you've learned on these builds and transition them over to other builds that are similar. That's why I say that even though the Enterprise E and Voyager are different classes, if you break down the core shape and the design of them, they're very, very similar in that regard. So that's why I say that Voyager is a great learning experience to get you ready to do a Sovereign. You know what I mean? And it was a similar thing like when I built the Cerritos. Even though the Cerritos wasn't nearly as complicated as what the Enterprise D ended up being, it gave me at least an idea of what I was going to be getting myself into. So it's not a bad process to have, where if you're picking ships as a way to more or less train you up to get you where you need to be to build that harder version of it, more or less. Think of it like that. And like I was saying, I know that this area right here that we're on now, what's going to be the shelf for where the bridge sits on, the front of it, the shape, it's not right, but don't worry about it. We're going to fix it. Right now, I think my main concern is just to get the overall shape of the saucer where it needs to be, and then I can make a little bit more adjustments to the that shelf. And you can see that I'm using the gray for the shelf too. You know, that's one of the things with Voyager, and you look at it, the ship is actually like a light gray. It doesn't have a lot of color, if at all any. You know, it's a very, very plain ship. So you're going to see that's going to be one of the areas where I do take liberties with. You know, my version of Voyager, she's white, so this way I can take advantage of those half slabs. It looks cleaner to me. And this is just going to be, I think, like a more pristine looking version of Voyager, where she'll have just a little bit more color to bring her to life. But still within trying to stay true to Voyager as much as I can, if that makes sense. Yeah, see, because even up here, this is why we're doing it this way, because the backbone has to blend into the shelf has to blend into the saucer, the backbone has to blend into the lower hull. It's just this whole thing. It's really, um, it ended up being more complicated than I originally foresaw it being. But like I said, great building experience because I'm certain that a lot of this stuff that I did on Voyager I'll be able to use on a Sovereign class, which is exciting because the Sovereign class is probably a ship that I haven't been 100% certain that I'd be able to do it very well, but now after doing Voyager, I feel more confident at least that I can get the saucer out of the way. The lower hull is going to be a little bit more challenging, but that's going to happen, I don't want my channel to be known just for doing starships from Star Trek or just the Enterprise, so the Sovereign will happen eventually, but that's something that's going to be later on down the road because I've already got 2 Enterprises that I'm doing right now. Between the Enterprise A 1.1 when we hit 1,000 subscribers, as well as the Enterprise D Season 2. And to be honest with you, because of that, I might end up holding off on doing the Enterprise G / Titan A. Now with that being said, I'm not going to stop doing videos for Star Trek ships. I'll still be doing that, but I want to be able to do other stuff as well too, when I originally started out my YouTube channel, that's kind of how it was. I built all sorts of stuff, and it just kind of whirlwind into people asking me to do the starships. But it'll be fun to do other things as well. So if there are other builds that you would like to see, drop a comment below. I definitely love hearing from everybody. You can also go on my Discord and add your suggestion in under the build suggestions. Those of you that don't have access to that, all the suggestions that I do get on YouTube, I add them to the suggestion tab on Discord. This way people can upvote them. And this helps to give me an idea as far as what direction I need to go into with the ships that I'm making. And that also, it's really helpful into making a decision on what ships I should do next. This is why I don't take personal requests from people. Some people just don't seem to understand it for whatever reason, but you got to understand something. Like, I get a lot of requests, and it's virtually impossible to do all the requests that I get for a variety of reasons. And bringing other people on to help me do these builds, that's not what I'm looking to do on here. I don't think that's ever going to change in regards to whatever game I'm playing on. I'm always going to be doing these builds solo because this is, at the end of the day, this is something I enjoy doing for fun. If I'm ever lucky enough to get to a point where I ever end up making anything out of the YouTube channel, great. But my philosophy and views on it are, I don't see them ever changing as far as the building goes, because I'm too I wouldn't say opinionated, but I'm very specific in what I want, and I don't really want somebody else kind of messing with that, if that makes sense. I just like doing my own thing. But this is the other thing too, I'm putting these tutorials up so that you guys have an idea of what you can do with your Voyager. But with that being said, I'm not saying that this is what you have to do. I'm really just trying to give you an idea to help guide you in the right direction that you need to go to get there. But at the end of the day, if you see something that I'm adding on and you don't agree with it, and we've gone through and we've fleshed it out and you're not happy with it, change it. Do whatever you want. Have fun with it. Because that's the whole point of what we're doing here. We're just doing something, if you're in a similar boat as me and you just need something to help you relax, I mean, Minecraft will help get you there. Because you can start working on a build like this and you're like, okay, cool, like, I got a lot done on here and I've been on here for the past hour, and then you look on your phone and you're like, oh my god, I've been on Minecraft for 4.5 hours. What happened? But at the same time, I kind of like that because it just, that's all I'm focused on when I'm building. All I'm thinking about is my Minecraft build, because I don't really have time to think about anything else, because I'm just focused on what I'm doing so that I can try to make it come out as good as I can, and also with the least amount of mistakes as possible. But even when those mistakes come up, we've got our rules in place to help us to correct that, to correct those. But look, here's the other thing too, and I've talked about this. Like, even somebody like me, I'm not perfect. Even I make mistakes. So like sometimes like I'll go through the whole build and somebody's like, you made a mistake at this point, you never fixed it. I'm just like, yep, I probably did. That's what I'll say. I'm definitely not a perfect builder. And see that saucer looking pretty good from the side. Doesn't bow up like this as much. We're going to have to correct that. But I want to pause the ship right here. So now you can get a clearer idea of what I'm trying to do here and us wireframing this out. This is why we need those components in place. This is why we needed to flesh out the lower hull so that we can get an idea of the outline for the shuttle bay and then a wireframe for our backbone of the neck so that we can foresee how this thing is ultimately going to look down the road as we continue to layer this out. This is also why it's important that we have this stuff in place, because it can help us to save us time for making mistakes and making revisions. Now, with that being said, even with all these things in place, I'm still going to have to come back and make revisions to the side of the lower hull because they end up being too wide. So that's why, you know, I say sometimes you just got to roll the punches. We can have all these measures in place and there will still be things that we have to update. This is just what it comes down to when you're doing custom shipbuilding like this. If I had built Voyager out 1 or 2 times and got the process down really good, I could probably put a tutorial out that's super clean and it has no errors in it at all, but to me that's not a realistic experience. So this last row that we did here when we were on the lower hull, we're going 2 blocks out of what we added and we're deleting everything after that. And we're just doing it for the underside. Do not do it for the middle part of your wireframe that we originally had. And this extra piece here, I had done this off camera. I was trying to get an idea of how that was going to go with the blending, and I decided I didn't like that. So this extra shelf space that we have right here, everything after that cut line, we're going to be getting rid of it. So what you're ultimately going to end up with is just your new cut, or your cut line, and then 2 blocks out. Everything after that, up to the midpoint here, we're going to be deleting all this access. We're going to be getting rid of that. So this way, when we come into episode 13, we can pick up and just keep on rocking and rolling here. But I'm pretty happy with the progress that we're making on Voyager. We're not going super fast, but you know what? We're not going super slow either. I think that we're going at a steady pace, getting a decent amount done in every episode, so I'm pretty happy with that. But regardless, if I didn't go into detail on something enough and you need help, be sure to drop a comment below. I'll try to help you out if I can. Also, if there's any build suggestions you'd like to see, let me know in the comment section. Definitely love hearing from everybody. But I think that is going to wrap it up for me today. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, please help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. The more likes I get, the more exposure I get on my channel. As I do notice that sometimes I'll get people that comment, they're like, how come you don't have more subscribers? What it comes down to is that I need help being able to promote my channel. So if you're one of those people and you feel that I need it, if you can take a little bit of time out of your day to help share my video, ask your friends to join my YouTube, to subscribe, I can't thank you enough for that. At the end of the day, I do these tutorials because I enjoy them, but I know that other people need help with their builds, and I'm doing this ultimately for you guys. So I hope that you appreciate the effort that goes into this and the time that it takes, because it can be a lot sometimes. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for me today. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you in the next episode. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today, other than Voyager? Let me know in the comments section.